evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, and thank you for joining us again. But before I start, I want to say a huge thank you to every single one of you that continue to click, watch, like, and comment on the videos that we put out. I want to say thank you for your genuine attention and your feedback. I really do appreciate it. And we are going to continue to do this. And hopefully, you continue to enjoy it. Today, we are focusing on the need to be grateful. But why is that important? It is especially important right now because of the distractions that we face on a daily basis. Somebody would say and argue that but they are real, they are genuine distractions. The cost of living crisis. You don't know if you're going to be able to feed your family, feed yourself sometimes. You're working 2, 3 jobs and you're looking for the next one or the next one because you feel like that's what is gonna even things out. In the past, when you had a job that was it, you were settled and you felt that you've near enough arrived because you can feed yourself, you can house yourself, and sometimes you might be able to grant yourself some luxury, maybe an ice cream, maybe a drink, maybe a takeaway. Yes, those are huge luxuries these days. And we've near enough come from that point to now where that's not guaranteed anymore, even when you have 2, 3 jobs. What are this other distractions that we have? We've got the God's gift to humanity, which is technology. And then you've got the distractions of friends, neighbors, family that are sometimes not always pleasant in the way that they interact with us, either because they're envious of what it is you've achieved, or they belittle you for not being able to attain a standard or this superficial standard that they've set for themselves, but somehow expect you to meet up to these expectations that is only for themselves. You can easily be consumed by all of this. And in doing this, you worry and beat yourself up for not being good enough. Not being good enough because you've bought into the idea of societal norms. These are the expectations are meant to have met by this time, by this stage, by this timeline. Because if I haven't met that, then that means that I'm nobody. That means that I'm a failure. That means that I need to hide away so that nobody sees or recognizes me. because I'm not worthy. And we replay this over and over and over again in our head that it almost becomes real. But here's the thing, in all of the things that haven't quite gone well, which to a certain extent, if you've set yourself a goal and you haven't accomplished that, then that is something to think about and reflect on. But rather than reflect on it, we beat ourselves up. And that is real. Of course, it's real. And of course, we need to have those conversations with ourselves. Or do we think maybe we could have the conversations using different tactics? For example, you've gone to work today and your boss has been unkind. A client has been unkind. Rather than think that, oh, it's all about me, it's because I was rubbish at what I do. It is because I was not great or I'm not the best. Maybe somebody else could have done it better. Is it possible that we could really think about asking those questions for feedback? Feedback in the sense when obviously we need to make sure that the person we're trying to ask this feedback from has had time to calm down from whatever mood they're in at that point in time and be tactful about how we ask those questions. I noticed earlier you weren't very pleased about what it is that I submitted. Is there any way that that could have been improved? Because sometimes with us, we become defensive, myself included. We become defensive because we do not want any criticism. Nobody likes criticism, especially not when you've worked so damn hard to achieve a certain task. If things are great, what do we often find? We get positive feedback. Obviously, there are people that would give negative feedback regardless, but meeting these people and trying to unpick that with them gives us the opportunity to, one, decipher what it is that makes an improved product or service or interaction that includes family members, or to see if there was some malice behind this and there is really nothing that could have been improved about that situation. But instead, look for a way to understand that maybe it wasn't really about you. And obviously, there are times where we would choose the latter and say, it's not about me, it's about them. I'm not the problem. Not that anybody should be a problem or see themselves as a problem. But with every interaction, the point is we have a role to play. We go into that interaction and sometimes we match people's energy. Sometimes the energy is not always great. People have come with a negative intention and we want to match that. When you match that, what ultimately happens is things escalate very quickly. But if you meet a negative intention with a positive attitude, the person feels as though they've been, what's the word? They've been dis disarmed, is the word I'm looking for. They feel as though they've been disarmed. And that also happens with people that are not truly out to seek calm, but have just been in a terrible mood. Your position in interactions and communication can create the opposite effect of what it is that people were hoping to achieve. I suppose the point I'm trying to make here is that yes, the day hasn't gone well. Yes, it is not what you pictured when you got out of bed this morning. Yes, you thought it would be better. But out of the three things that have gone wrong today, can you pick seven more that have gone right? Starting with getting up in the morning, brushing your teeth, having breakfast. Maybe you haven't had breakfast, you had a coffee or a cup of tea. You drove yourself to work, took bus, went on your bike. Or maybe you had the opportunity to go to the gym, have a run, do some level of exercise before you actually went into work or to your study. You had time to look at your family, your loved ones, and say good morning or good evening. You had the opportunity to look at someone that you care deeply for to see that they're doing all right. And that brought a smile to your face. A smile that pretty much, for a moment in time, got you to forget about those two, three things that had gone wrong today. You received a message from someone, and for that moment, you were distracted because the message was just delightful. And this is the thing, we often are distracted by things that we would ideally not like to engage with. But in between all of that, there are often positive distractions. But because we've become so accustomed to this, we just float through life without really thinking about them. And we almost think as though our life is worse than it is. The thing is, we're not, or rather, I'm not trying to belittle the struggle because for every individual, the struggle they're faced with at that point in time, the struggle that is real. But if you're religious, there have been times where they would say that God doesn't give you a struggle that He's not prepared you for. you're not religious, then people would say that the universe has a way of preparing you for what's to come. The principle of both statements is that we are bound to have struggles in life. And we believe that there's a higher force that is there to guide our step. There are times where these preparation, regardless of what it is that we've envisioned in our heads that is going to happen, when that doesn't happen, it for a moment scrambles us and we're near enough trying to regain or recompose our balance, that we feel like everything is against us. But I suppose if we can just remember that we have got a lot of good things to be grateful and thankful for. And whilst things haven't quite gone well, we can reflect on those things that haven't gone well, see how we can improve them, and look for ways to make the next experience a better experience. Just like a child, you stand up for the first time and you take the first step, you take the second step, and then you fall. That doesn't mean that you don't get to take the third step the next time. The next goal is to do 1, 2, 3. We take the step continuously. And when we fall, we remember that we are capable, because before that first step, we couldn't actually do it. The positive out of that is that we took a step that we didn't take before. We took 2 steps. We took 3 steps. We're healthy. We have more opportunities now that we couldn't access before. Friends, loved ones, good people. And most importantly, we get to do it again. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Take care. Bye for now.